Go ahead.
Welcome, kind listeners, to Under the Banyan Tree.
The live show where ancient epics meet modern minds.
I am Leo, a yogini from the West,
And I am Mayank, a rationalist from the East.
and together we journey through the Mahabharata from the retelling of Ramesh Menon, epic of war, fight, and everything in between. So, Mayank, today we are reading chapter 6,
Mhm.
The Two Princes, and chapter 7, Princess of Kashi, from the Sankalpa of reading the two chapters from the point of view of identity.
Mhm.
Would you mind sharing your understanding of identity?
You will have to be loud today, okay?
Okay.
I can't keep on focusing on that audio bar. Okay? You have to be
Okay.
loud today. Yeah. So our sankalpa you have already discussed. No, the intention. You have already discussed the theme.
No.
No. Oh, like you have introduced it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, shall I start with the summary?
No. Do you want to share your understanding of identity? What
What
do you understand of identity?
what would be
What's the
better?
meaning of identity?
What would be better? First we do summary or first we do
First, we do Sankalpa.
okay. If you say identity, for me the meaning of identity is what defines us. Like that's how I perceive it. What's like what are those essential traits in me which I would not like to let go because they define me, and that I would consider is part of my identity. Some of those traits are like passed on to me. Like being an Indian, I feel it's a part of my identity,
Mm-hmm.
and I just got it. Like I didn't do anything to get that. And then probably there are other traits about me which are part of my identity because I work on them. So that's my understanding of identity.
It's great. Yeah, it's very similar to my understanding of identity.
Mm-hmm.
Going, away from the obvious that we have an identity card, something that tells us who we are. And I actually thought a lot about this concept of identity because etymologically speaking, identity actually, the concept, it's the opposite, is to be identical, idem. So it's what make me part of a group.
Mm-hmm.
So this concept of identity as an individual, it was introduced around 1950 with psychology. And I think also, with the Second World War and thinking about the human rights, it helped it too. And I agree with you,
Mm-hmm.
but I think identity, I end up saying that it's the habit of oneself.
Okay.
In the sense of you talked about things that you inherited, you think about traits that you don't want to let go of them. But I think it goes beyond that. It's ingrained in our subconscious. And the identity that for me it's more frightening, it's the one that we do not question. It's the one when someone asks you why you don't do this, well, because I can't.
Mm.
It defines me.
Mm.
Or why, at bottom line, our identity, it's our personality, and it's our personality that defines our life, in a way, our destiny. So I'm more concerned about the identities that we unconsciously assume as core and we do not question.
Well, I didn't think about this whole topic from this angle, but yeah,
That's
and
why it's good. Two
yeah,
of us.
yeah, and I really liked, and I am very surprised with this finding of yours that it's such a modern idea. Like 1950s, what, 75 years only? So it's not as if uh, this concept kind of solidified itself from eternity or something. So it will be very interesting to find this concept in such an ancient text, I
Hmm.
feel. So yeah, I'm very excited about it.
So, to help us dig in, can you make a small summary of the two chapters? It will be our Shravan
Yeah,
moment.
I can make a very quick summary if you want, but for the sake of our kind listeners, I will just give some more brief details there. So after King Shantanu passed, Chitrangad, who was the elder son of Shantanu and Satyavati, was appointed as the Yuvraj, the crown prince of Hastinapur. One day, a Chitrangad from heaven, who was a Gandharv, appeared in front of the gates of Hastinapur, and he was offended that human Chitrangad has stolen his name, and he says that I would punish you for this and I challenge you for a duel. The human Chitrangad, being a warrior, a Kshatriya, couldn't refuse the challenge, and they both have an encounter. And in a flash of a moment, the Gandharva Chitrangad kills the human Chitrangad, and this way berefting Hastinapur with her crown prince and the future king. Bhishma is heartbroken with this whole episode, and then he had to nurture Vichitravir, the younger son of Shantanu and Satyavati, as the future king of Hastinapur. And he becomes the king. And as he becomes the king, Satyavati is like, okay, now he should get married.
Bhishma,
Oh,
think.
Bhishma proposed? Okay. Bhishma proposed he should get married, but he realizes that king of Kashi is organizing a swayamvar for his three daughters, Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika. And through traditions, princesses of Kashi were getting married to Hastinapur, but this time, because a swayamvar was organized, Bhishma takes it as an offense because his perception was they are doing this because Vichitraveer is a son of a fisher girl. Bhishma arrives at the Swayamvar. Swayamvar is nothing but a process where a princess is allowed to choose her own groom. Yeah, allowed. And Bhishma goes there, challenges the 1,000 kings and princes who were present in that arena, and he abducts those three princesses and brings them back to Hastinapur. Before coming back, he had a fight with all other warriors and especially the king of Shalv, who gave him some fight, but ultimately Bhishma overpowered all of them, Bhishma OP, and came back to Hastinapur. People of Hastinapur are happy, exuberant, seeing the new queens of Hastinapur. And then when they uh, arrive at Hastinapur, Vichitravir wants his wounded brother to get dressed up first, and once all that is done, Amba comes up with a request saying, I already accepted King of Shalv as my husband in my heart. And when they get to know this, Bhishma says, okay, you should go to Shalva, take my chariot and some royal army with you, and I bless you for your future. And Amba is happy and she blesses everyone, blesses Hastinapur, and she's looking forward for a bright future. However, her happiness is very short lived.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, I think I wanted to be brief, but ultimately I ended up being very elaborate.
Oh, and I think some details are very important.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, one of the details, and I don't remember you mentioning it, was so Chitragand from heaven
Mm-hmm.
came to fight Chitragand
Mm-hmm.
from earth because of our name,
His name.
his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of his name. So that was from his point of view,
Hmm.
and because the Apsaras were making fun of him in Devaloka, he decided to come and have a fight because that's my name. And it made me, think about identity,
Yep.
of course.
I was so happy that somehow we stumbled upon this theme for this chapter. And yeah, Chitrangad, he's a character, isn't he? Both Chitrangads are characters. Because one Chitrangad hardly had any mention in this in this elaborate epic. He was just there for, I don't know, like few lines.
Yep.
And then there is one Chitrangad who's offended because someone else is also Chitrangad in this world.
And it's a very egotistic
Mm-hmm.
reason. And I think Chitrangad from the world, he only accepted to fight against the Chitragand from the heaven due to excess of attachment to his identity of a kshatriya, the honor of a kshatriya.
Mm.
When I started reading, my first reaction was, no, I do not accept a challenge from someone that is drunk. He was drunk.
Mm-hmm.
So probably they were having a party and the Apsara started annoying him. And it's like, oh yeah, I solved this. So everything is triggered by, from my point of view, it's triggered from ego, excess of attachment to an identity
Mm-hmm.
that leads them to make rush impulsive decisions. I don't think, from my point of view, I don't think that Chitragand from the world needed to accept the challenge in
So
the sake of the honor of a kshatriya.
so let's take it stepwise. Okay. I was thinking this. Let's first talk about the Chitrangad, the Gandharva Chitrangad, the Chitrangad from the heaven. He got offended because someone else took his name.
No. He
At
got
least
offended because the Apsaras in heaven were making fun of him. Why only now? He's a eternal being. So why only now when he's already an adult? He's coming down annoyed.
that makes sense. But the thing which he said was, I say you are guilty of theft worse than of gold or jewels or even kingdom. So, like, say for now, let's focus on the Chitrangat from heaven. Okay.
Okay.
He got offended for a stupid reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when I think when you talked about the identities which we don't question,
Mm-hmm.
I felt this falls totally in that category. Again, our names are something which most of the times we just get them.
Yeah.
Like very few people,
We don't choose them.
yeah, very few people may exercise this right later in their lives where they will be like, I would like to change my name
Mm-hmm.
or choose a new name for me, like you did. But no, even that name you got. Okay, let's not go there.
No, like all of my names, they were given to me.
Yeah, okay.
Leonor, okay, I go by Leo, but then Unmani Ananda
Yeah,
was given to me.
yeah,
I didn't
yeah. So,
choose it.
so it's hardly as if we can choose. Most of the times we don't choose our own names.
Yeah.
So he just got outraged for something so stupid.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
Completely ridiculous.
Yeah, like this chapter was so fun to read because of its ridiculousness. I was like, what was Vedvyas thinking? Like he was like, okay, let's start this epic.
But let's be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
The picture in this book, it's completely different from the one in the original text.
Yeah.
Accordingly to what we read,
Yeah.
it was very different. It was
Yeah.
a battle that lasted for 3 years, I
Hmm.
think,
Hmm.
where everyone was involved, and the duel between the Gandharv and the human
Hmm.
last for a good amount of time too.
Hmm.
So, and reading this chapter,
Hmm.
it looks like Chitragant from Earth is a is a
I liked this version more. You know,
why?
it's fun. Just bring a character and kill him. Like give no reason. It's like he was made. He's about to be crowned as king of the biggest uh state in the nation. His name will be etched in history. Okay, his right to the kingdom is coming after so many of shenanigans. Parashar meeting Satyavati, giving her some blessings. Shantanu meeting Satyavati. Lot of background made for one person to be made king. And as soon as he's about to become a king, just kill him for some stupid reason. Storytelling at its best.
But do you think, okay, and I'm not simply looking at it as a story,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm looking at it as, people.
Mm.
And don't you think that his death, it's also a consequence of his own excessive attachment
Yeah, so
to
I
an
think that's
identity?
that's our step two.
Okay.
Let's talk about now human Chitrangad. But this is my question. Like he he may look stupid taking up this challenge, but say if someone comes to you and asks you that, oh, you should change your name, how are you going to deal with that person?
In Portugal, we have a saying that it's something like, you do not argue with mad people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say, yes, of course, they're there. No
But do
further.
you think he would have listened to this there?
No, he wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I would simply say, I'm so sorry, but I'm not fighting with a drunken being.
So
I would
you would not
I would refuse to fight.
you would not take it as a challenge to your
No,
honor.
no.
Okay. Okay.
And my honor does not lie on my name.
Mm-hmm.
It lies on my actions.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably say, oh, come, let's have a coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. In that sense, but do you think that say if they had a coffee,
Mm-hmm.
that
Okay, a
Chitrangat,
chai.
yeah, or chai or whatever, or lassi, that Chitrangat from heaven would have been pacified later and he would be like, oh, yeah, I was being stupid. Go ahead, man. Make my name
I don't
fly.
know, because I can't see the future or the possible outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
There was a possibility of him coming into his senses,
Mm-hmm.
and not kill Chitragat. Oh God,
Chitrangat.
Chitrangat from Earth in the way he did,
Yeah.
because it wasn't a nice thing to see. He just throw a dagger, cut his neck,
Mm.
and disappears. Um, in a way, it's like he not even had a fight. He just died.
Yeah. That's why it was nice. That's what I liked about it. That
Okay.
I liked it more than the original version, because original version was like they fought for 3 years and then Chitrangad died. Uh, I was like, if ultimately you just want to kill him, why even wait for 3 years?
Yeah, but
Just
in another way, it gives him more depth, more consistency. It gives some value to him.
yeah, I get it, but to be honest, like the treatment to Chitrangad and Vichitraveer both
Mm.
in the whole saga has been in such a way that they were like kind of very non-important characters.
Yeah, and it seems that the Fisher King was wrong
In what sense?
when he said that the sons of Satyavati
Mm-hmm.
would rule.
Mm-hmm.
No, they never ruled.
Yeah. So that theory that the especially I feel the elder son's position became cursed.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your
So
theory.
so I thought of this when Bhishma was denied the throne of the kingdom, or he denied himself the throne of the kingdom. After that, every generation's first son, like they were doomed. For example, Shantanu and Satyavati, their first son Chitrangad, just died. Okay. Then Virya's first son was Dhritarashtra. Technically, he was son of Vyas, but for now,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. Vichitravirya was the son of Dhritarashtra was the son of Vichitravirya, born blind. Okay. And the way he lived his life, he was like his soul was blind as well. Then the next
I
generation,
like that. His soul was blind as well.
yeah, next generation of Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan. Again, kind of a very doomed person if we think of him throughout his life. Dhritarashtra's brother was Pandu.
Mm-hmm.
His elder brother, everyone considers is Yudhishthir.
But it's not.
It's
It's
Karn.
yeah. It's Karn.
And then I was earlier when I gave this theory, I thought, okay, at Yudhishthir the chain breaks, but no,
No.
the elder son is Karn. Again, quite a doomed personality. And after them also, whatever were the first sons, or even their sons, all of them were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Abhimanyu was gone. The 5 sons of Draupadi were gone. Duryodhan's sons were gone. So the only survivor which we get is very late
Yeah.
in this whole saga. So my theory was as if like in Harry Potter, the position of defense against
It's
dark
the
arts
dark
was
art.
cursed.
Yeah.
Similarly here, the whole, especially the elder sons, they were all getting
Okay. And taking that theory,
mhm.
who do you think cursed them?
I just
Someone.
I really don't
Someone
know.
needs to bestow the.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone established a curse per se in this text, but I just felt like, it's like the classic storytelling stuff that you don't want to say that out loud, but there's a pattern which if you observe, you may be able to find it.
Yeah, but storytelling is all about humans.
Mm-hmm.
And you are talking, and I even wrote. There's a small teaching from, well, it's attributed to Lao Tzu. Not, I'm not sure if it is or not.
Mm-hmm.
That say, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your character, your personality, your identity. Watch your character, because it becomes your destiny.
Hmm.
And all the characters that you are talking about, I didn't see all of them. They are simply a product of an era,
Mm-hmm.
and they are a product of their own personal hatreds.
Mm-hmm.
and their own personal entanglements.
Okay.
And yes, in a way, I agree with you. In another way, I cannot take away completely the willpower of each person. Even if they don't perceive it so, especially Dhritarashtra was always saying, oh, this is I'm unlucky. Oh, um, destiny doesn't like me.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw, and the ones that looking from the outside, it's
Mm-hmm.
all a consequence of his own choices.
Yep.
So yes, I agree with you, but maybe because each one of them, or they were tailored in the sense of being educated,
Mm-hmm.
like it's not Gandharva, Chitragand
Mm.
from Earth,
Mm-hmm.
that he was taught by Bhishma.
Mm-hmm.
Bhishma is the most powerful Kshatriya. So he bestowed on him this identity
Mm.
of I am invincible.
Mm.
He shaped him in that way, and he never questioned himself.
Well, here it,
I,
like I'm giving a possibility that there's a big possibility here that it's the code of honor code of Kshatriya which you need to follow.
but when you start being too inflexible,
Mm-hmm.
and when you start not looking at higher level and being too attached
Mm-hmm.
to ideas and conceptions,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's when the values start to fall. And we know that that was one of the issues of Yudhishthir,
Mm-hmm.
that he would follow by the book instead of bringing context.
But that's that's one feature of this whole saga, that people follow books a lot. And here also the human Chitrangat, I think for him it's worse than death if he doesn't follow his honor code.
Yes, but that attachment, that one single-minded
Hmm.
way of thinking,
Hmm.
prevented him to see beyond that,
Yep.
to evaluate the context,
Hmm.
to try to understand, okay, but really, why are you doing that?
Hmm.
um, it blinded him in a way,
Hmm.
because it pierced his ego. And the moment something is completely personal, you lose perspective. And he lost perspective.
Hmm. Makes sense.
Sorry.
But I am also keeping an eye on the time.
Okay, let's move on to the chapter 7.
Mm-hmm.
Princess of Kashi.
Mm-hmm.
Identity.
Uh, the first thing which I saw was that Kashi, the city itself, was given an identity. The way it was described, that it's all festive, decorated, crowded, and
Mm-hmm.
people are in high spirits. So it was kind of a treatment of the city, like the author gave a personality to the city, which
Mm-hmm.
I liked.
Yep.
So yeah, and then I thought that yeah, even cities, they also have an identity,
Mm-hmm.
or nations, they have an identity. So that was something which I liked.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a note of this. Probably you can tell me if you agree or disagree with this, that a royal princess, they have this right that they can choose their own husband. So there is some authority to a Kshatriya princess. Do you consider this as a part of their identity, that they have this privilege, or do you think uh, It's just a privilege. It has nothing to do
Well,
with
I
identity.
can't, first, I can't call it a privilege
Mm-hmm.
because, first of all, tradition says that the princesses of Kashi are given, note, given to Hastinapur.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, once again, they are traded.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, we and initially I thought, oh, okay, at least they have some type of right. But there's a complete pre-selection
Mm-hmm.
of who can go
Yep.
to the event.
Yep.
They are all pre-selected. We know that behind the scenes, there's agreement between the kings and whatever saying, okay, this will be advantageous
Mm.
if our princess gets married with that king or that prince, we have an alliance. So that's that too. And they theoretically
Mm-hmm.
they should not meet them before. So
Mm-hmm.
they need to take them as face value. Is this a privilege? Is this a right? I don't know what happened with other women, okay, with women that are not princesses.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, I initially thought, okay, there's at least some right. At the end, I was like, no, there's no right.
But
Because they are simply, you simply do as you are told.
but
That's it.
the question here is, and what I'm thinking is that if you take it in a relative manner compared to other women,
What
what
was the reality of other women?
you saw the case of Satyavati. What was her reality? Like Devrat came, he was like, I want her for my.
And how different is from what is happening to Ambambik and
Yep.
Ambalika?
So in their case, so that was the thing. They had that right to choose their husbands. Bhishma came, interrupted the party, and the
My
right.
question is you are labeling it as a right, okay? But
I'm
from my
labeling
point
this,
of view, is it's a illusion of a right.
but I'm saying at least they have that illusion. Other women, they may not even have that illusion. Like for other women, they are just being
Well,
transacted.
at least they are out of Matrix.
Yeah, like other women, they are being transacted. Their father told them that, yeah, this is whom you are going
and
to marry, and they are
and I
marrying.
and I think they are being transacted in the same way. Bhishma arrives and says to Satyavati, "See what I brought."
Mm,
People of Hastinapur came out to see what
mm,
Bhishma brought.
yep.
And I don't know if the author made this purposefully,
Mm-hmm.
but it's what, it's
Even
not
I made
whom.
that note of this. Yeah.
So I understand what you are saying. And initially I had that perception of, well, at least they have um, some agency. But I, after I start thinking that it's just an illusion of
So,
agency.
but that's what my question is. What would you prefer? That you are, you don't even know whom you are getting married to. Like you haven't even
But
seen them.
they don't know either. They are
No, no. I'm saying
theoretically they are seeing them for the first time.
for the other women, the reality is they may not even have seen their grooms and they are
But
married.
it's the same because they
Here
are
she has 1,000 choices. How is it same?
analysis paralysis.
But at least she has 1,000 choices. Choices. She has some choices, and that's why I said it's a relative right. I'm not saying
Okay.
it's a good scenario. I'm not saying this is an ideal scenario. This should happen. I just felt at least she has something. A royal princess has something more than other women. Because, as you said, the treatment of women by the choices of words, by scenarios, we can easily make it out. Like I just feel it's just inference. Like even if someone says, "Oh, where you read that in text that other women didn't have rights or something," I would just say I'm reading the language and these are my inferences. That's what I feel. And yes, the I totally agree with you on this that the conditions of women for sure is quite pathetic compared to our modern standards. Yeah, it's really bad. Was there anything else?
Let me check. I don't. Well, I try to do a quick analysis on the identity of each main character,
Mm-hmm.
and once again, I see Bhishma being completely arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
The way, so he goes to the event, he abducts the three princesses.
Mm-hmm.
Say, oh, I'm taking them to be queens of Hastinapur. He doesn't ask for authorization or what. He doesn't ask them,
Mm-hmm.
and just take them, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this very arrogant. It's very disrespectful. And I know that in his mind, Hastinapur was not invited, or they didn't choose to have the normal relationship with Hastinapur,
Mm-hmm.
to trade with Hastinapur only. But that's his assumption.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that arrogance of, I am right, therefore I can do whatever I want. And that itched me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing was how devoted the
Vichitra Veerya.
was to his older brother.
Yep.
And that made me think,
Mm-hmm.
when you grow at the side of someone like Bhishma, in a way you are always under his shadow,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have space to grow,
Mm-hmm.
because you are under the shadow of a tree that looks too big, that looks too divine. Therefore, what I see, it seems that these two princes, they never gave them their best, because first they had a protector, and secondly, he's too big. His ego is too big. So they played safe, because it's very hard to live with someone that it's perfect.
Hmm. Yeah, and whatever, like the way text has been written,
Mm-hmm.
like if I can build on whatever you are saying, they were all happy with that arrangement. That oh, it's Bhishma who's taking care of the things because he's the one who can.
And I think, if first he is the elder, um, among all of them, he's
Mm-hmm.
the elder one. Secondly, he loves what you do, and it's, you settle
Hmm.
in your position, and you create an identity around that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and to be honest, if I would be in the places of Chitrangad or Vichitraveer, I would be doing the same.
Yeah.
Like it's just convenient and probably it's the thing which makes sense. Like I am not like say like I just perceive this as it in this way that they can never be as powerful or as grand as
Mm-hmm.
Bhishma. So in some ways probably it also makes sense sometimes in this world that okay, this is my job, this is my role, this is my position because these are my strengths,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm okay to be in a supporting role. I Because I can't be the main character in this story. I just don't have the qualifications.
But who told you that you don't have the qualifications?
But that's what, like, it's very much like What Ron says to Harry, not me, not Hermione, yo. So,
Okay, but that it's in that context.
and that's it. It is very much the same here. Like the Bhishma is something which is like 10,000 or 100,000 times more powerful, kind of a divine being between humans. I think probably here it makes sense to give him space, to give.
No, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm,
I completely agree with you. But I'm thinking when you are growing up, you have two options.
mm-hmm,
Or you settle in the shadow of that great leader, or you aspire to be as him, or even better than him. And what I see is they both settled in the shadow of Bhishma. While when we look at the Pandavas,
yeah.
they aspired.
I think one reason for this can be like say Bhishma was their teacher as well for
Mm-hmm.
Chitrangad and Vichitraveer. So they know him firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very close relationship. By the time the tree went on to Pandavas, the lineage, there is some gap.
I just thought about something different.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Pandavas. Their first, let's say, 13 years,
Mm-hmm.
they were raised alone.
Yep.
So during that time, they created their own identity
Mm.
without being shadowed by the powers of Hastinapura, by the great character of Bhishma.
That's a very good point. Really a good. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so being aware of time,
Mm-hmm.
shall we move on?
Yep. Well, do you want to talk anything about Amba? Well, she didn't say a lot in this chapter. No, she
Uh,
just expressed in the end that oh.
but for me, that was the beacon of the two chapters
Mm-hmm.
because it's a seed. What I see is through the epic, there's a curve of women standing up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first woman that you see standing up.
Mm-hmm.
And standing up, she had to ask permission. And I had tears on my eyes, okay? She had to ask permission to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And Bhishma, and we discussed before, like why she didn't talk before, why she didn't say anything before. Because she had the garland in her hands and she was about to place the garland around Shalva's neck.
Mm.
And she frozen.
Mm.
And that's normal, fight or flight. And she had the courage, trembling, but she had the courage of speaking out. While the two princesses, and I question a little bit how women are depicted. Like they were excited that someone fought for them.
Yep.
They were excited. So what I felt that was Ambika and Ambalika, they were pictured or as kind of superficial.
Yeah, even I wrote that it kind of shows what sort of society it was because if a woman is excited that someone fought for them or so it's like yeah, I think the narration, it can be the narration, it can be the original text, but for sure we can agree on this one thing that the status of women is not great. Like it's not something which should be revered, which should be
But after the value of a mother, it's 10,000 times.
like
Okay. Let's move
Well,
on.
like the thing is, you have to speak all this when you are doing some discrimination.
Okay.
You don't have to come up with these rules that, oh, the value of mother is this, the value of father is this, the
Mm-hmm.
value of guru is this. I feel you have to come up with all this when you have an inherent insecurities in your society. I can rant about these things for a very long time.
Oh, we
but
don't want to do that.
but yeah. And I think, yeah, I think, do you think there was anything else which from the text you would
Mhm.
like to
No,
discuss?
no.
So can we proceed to Shiksha?
Yes.
Shiksha, the lesson or the teachings which we took, or I would invite you first, and probably I will give myself some time if I took any learning from this.
My learning was, it reminded me of
Mm-hmm.
do not take anything personal.
Mm-hmm. From the case of Chitrangat?
From the case of, I know that this was the end of.
No, you can't go there.
Oh, no, no, wait. No, this was the end of chapter 6.
Okay,
Okay.
Chitrangat.
Yes, when Bhishma says, "Oh, but I
Ah.
know," he made that assumption.
Mm.
So he made it personal.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, Chitrangat, both of them, they made it personal.
Mm.
Bhishma abducted 3 women because it was personal. So
He paid a price for it later.
yeah,
A good price.
they all pay a price.
Yeah.
So that's my reminder. And actually, I have in my notes in the place where I work, nothing is personal.
Mm.
Because if all of them had stepped back a little bit, I am sure that the progression of the story would be different.
Mm-hmm.
And another lesson was ask for permission.
Mm.
Bhishma abducts 3 people, 3 women, 3 princesses, and he not even dare to ask,
Mm-hmm.
are you okay?
Mm. What's that thing? Consent.
Consent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consent was not a concept.
No, for women, no, absolutely.
Yeah, good times, old good times. So, uh, yeah, I think you have already covered learnings. I, if I will have to think for me, what I learned from this chapter, I think for me, one learning was that when Vichitravirya was so concerned about his
His
brother,
brother.
I genuinely felt really good. Like I felt in that sense that if you at least if you try to do good deeds,
Mm-hmm.
um, there something good may come back to you in the sense that there will be someone who will care about you.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked that aspect of Vichitravirya, that Bhishma, whom we will see in his like 300, 400 years of life or whatever he
Mm-hmm.
lived, he did so much for everyone else. And yes, he made mistakes. Like
Mm-hmm.
we are talking about his mistakes a lot. But at least in his mind, he's trying his best.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt touched in that moment when Vichitravirya cared about him. And I just felt like that, yeah, if you do some good around you, in some ways or other, you may get something out of it. Even though I'm a firm believer that one should do good without expecting results, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like if you do good, universe will make sure in
What
some way,
goes around comes around.
yeah, in some way or another, that you get the fruits of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like to, and we are not going to talk about it, but for the for our kind listeners, we also watched the episode from the
Mm.
old Mahabharat. I have made notes, some highlights from that.
Be very quick, please.
No,
Brief.
no,
Brief.
this will not be shared.
Okay.
This I will keep this as
Add in the comments.
yeah, I can put it in comments if I can get one comment from anyone listening to us,
Okay.
then I will put them in comments.
I will make my mom comment it.
Yeah. And if in future, if you would be interested, we would like to share our notes with you as well, if you would like to see what sort of notes we make while reading these chapters. And I think we can move on to Naman.
Yes, Naman.
Yeah. So Naman is the practice of our acknowledgement to one character, to whatever we read. You go first.
Can you guess?
Mm, Amba.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't think you need to explain it.
I just explained it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just explained it. I think it requires a lot of strength to get out of a pattern that was imposed to you, to speak out.
Mm-hmm.
You were raised to be quiet. You were raised to do as you were told.
So I can just add one line here. I can be wrong. I can be right. I don't know. When she asked for permission, I read it as she's asking for permission to speak from elders. I didn't read it as that because she's a woman, that's why she's asking for a permission, or she's a daughter in law, that's why she's asking for permission. I just felt because she's talking to elders, Satyavati and Bhishma, so that's why she asked for permission. Having said that, I,
Does daughters-in-law had to respectful ask for the right of talking?
yes.
Oh,
If
fantastic.
it's like,
Anyway,
no, but I think it can also be for sons, like, or for younger people in general. That if you want to interrupt elders or put in your point, you
but
will
she's
have
not
to.
interrupting anyone. Everybody
Yeah,
was quiet.
yeah. Like she was like, okay, if you are done with this family drama, you are bandaging Bhishma, then please let me speak.
Yeah.
So, but
But
I,
it's not only about that
yeah, yeah,
sentence.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
about the fact that she actually spoke.
Hmm.
She said what she wanted, and regardless of the outcome, I want to show my respect
No, no, no.
and my
That makes sense.
reverence to that action,
Yeah.
because even nowadays women are afraid of speaking
Hmm.
and being judged. So yeah.
Yeah.
And your Naman?
My Naman goes to Vichitraveer because I just liked him for his humility, for his acceptance as his role in life, like, and for his love towards his brother. Like I really liked that aspect. Uh, I I I think he showed a lot of kind of human characters, which I would like to see in even in say people around us now. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something which I think is worth learning. Care about your family or someone who's injured. I liked that aspect from him.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's time to wrap up.
Yep.
We are preparing the next episode where we are going to read the 8th chapter, Bhishma and Amba, with the Sankalpa of reading through the theme of justice.
Ah. And
Any call out?
the only call out is please Mention in comments uh, whom, which team you are in, human Chitrangad or the Chitrangad from the heaven.
Okay.
let's let's have some fire in the comment section.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
See you next week.
See you next week. Namaste.